Hello, everybody in WMG. I'm so glad to be with you here for another great week of CEO Club. And we are in for a real treat. I hope by now you've sent a message to everybody. Jump on your social media. I'll give you a moment. Jump on your social media platforms right now, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, and help us share this with as many people as you possibly can, because we want to encourage people. This is the home of CEOs, and we want people to know that there's more to them than meets the eye. And today we're really talking about self-made. And I know that title may, irk some, because I actually truly believe that nobody is really self-made. We're all the product of those who went before us. In fact, my surname Arayomi, I found it out a long time ago, the meaning, and I live my name. It means people helped me. And I found out that I wouldn't be where I am today if I did not have the help of people. But look at the word there, it's help. They don't do, they help. That means you're already lifting something. That means you're already moving something. That means you're already doing something. And so today I want to engage you in some action. But before I do, I want to read probably my favorite poem in the whole world, probably one of the most famous poems. It predates the movie Coach Carter, but it's in Coach Carter. And I want to share the words of this poem with you. And it says this: our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people the permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And I wanted to start with that, because that's a story that has always touched my heart. It's something, when I first heard that poem, it was many years ago, watching the movie Coach Carter. And when I saw and I heard that poem recited, I remember many years ago what that awakened on the inside of me. Because for me, I thought my life was just to come about and be ordinary. And I realized in that moment what drove me all those years, because from a young age I'd always been somebody who colored outside of the lines, or somebody who didn't want a job, somebody who wanted to strive for excellence and greatness. And I realized in that moment something that I want each and every one of you to realize. And what I realized was one of my greatest fears in the whole world is to live and die ordinary. It's the knowledge that if God released me to this earth, He put something unusual. He put something peculiar on the inside of me. And my job is not just on this planet to speak a great message. My job goes way beyond that. My job is to release every single ounce of potential that sits on the inside of me. I intend on living life without any regrets, none at all. And it's my job, and this is why I created the brand I Am CEO. It's not a bravado, it's not a title, it's not a nice t-shirt that you wear or anything like that. I Am CEO means I am the owner of my destiny. I'm in charge of the course of my life. I'm going to determine where I decide my life ends up. Nobody is going to come with their own wave or influence and choose the path that is there for me. Somebody once said something so powerful. They said, I used to be worried about people burying me, but then I realized I'm a seed. And there's something very, very powerful about a seed. And so when I talk about your ability to take charge of your life, there's something so powerful about a seed. Every seed has within it the coding, the DNA of what it's meant to be. No matter what, if I put banana seeds in the ground, bananas are going to show up as the fruit. A tree has failed, not when it produces it hasn't succeeded when it produces the stems and the leaves. It's only succeeded when the fruit shows up. I can't celebrate being a stem. I can't celebrate growing old but never growing up. I can't celebrate coming to age but not seeing fruit or ROI on my life. I'm an investment. I've been placed here. I've been put here for a reason. And so it was incumbent upon me to discuss with you Self-Made. And what I realized in that poem as well that was so powerful is that in me not shining, I'm holding other people bound. It says something, it's not our playing small that serves the world. We can't shrink to make small-minded people feel comfortable. But as you allow your light to shine, I think in our world today, we think it's humility to play it small. We think it's humility to just kind of get by and get through with life. And we think that if we play it small, somehow other people are going to feel more comfortable, or they're going to be our friends, or be more at ease with us. But there's something that I did, and it was quite a morbid exercise. And guys, what I did was this. I spent some time studying people. I read a proverb somewhere, and the proverb said, it's better to go to funerals than it is to go to weddings. And I thought, what a morbid statement. When I realized going to a wedding, loads of people come to the wedding. Even people you didn't invite show up to your wedding and gate crash it. And people eat the food and complain. But you're really going to know your impact in life, not based off of your wedding. You're going to know your impact in life based off of your funeral. And this sounds so morbid, but a CEO is somebody, for me, a CEO is somebody who's decided they're not going to wait till they're at death's door to determine their legacy. They realize, and this is a reality that I have in my life. Time is moving forward. It can't go backwards. And so I realize, sadly, I was born, and as I'm born pretty much dying. My time is here on earth is so finite. It's so limited. And I will rob the world of contribution if I don't release everything that's put on the inside of me. And I realize when you look at, study people who are in palliative care, people who are at death's door, I mean, people who are at the last stretch of their life, they often say something. They say, they talk through a list of their regrets, and I Googled what the top regrets were. Amongst the top regrets, people were like, people said, I wish I spent more time with the people that mattered. And I think that's a big key in life. Not everybody in your life, unfortunately, deserves or warrants your focus and your attention. You've got to find the right people, and in a people-pleasing nature, you might be trying to please everybody and not the right people. And I think that was an important statement. But harder than that, and akin to it, it's all tied to people, was this belief that I wish I did not care what people thought. And the other one was, I wish I went all out for my dream. I wish, and when we say my dream, we're talking about, if you've got a dream, it means your dream is the evidence of the seed you are. If we put seeds in my hand, banana, figs, and oranges, seeds in my hand, we may not know what each one is because all the seeds look similar. They look small, they look insignificant, they look puny. But coded inside is the DNA of what they're meant to become. Your dreams are codified you. Your dreams are a glimpse into the fruit of everything that you're meant to be, everything that you're meant to produce, everything that you're meant to achieve. And so when I talk about self-made, guys, I'm talking about the ability, here it is, to number one, dream. This is the first thing. I'm going to go through the D's of self-made. I'm talking about number one, your ability to dream. And I'm talking here, it's interesting, when I began my business journey, and people often ask me, what was the secret of your business journey? I'll tell you something that's me being vulnerable, and it's me being a bit honest with you. The secret of my success actually was not in my dream initially. It was in my fears. When you go through a place in your own life, when bailiffs are knocking at your door, when mice are filling up your house and cockroaches, I'll be honest with you, my first motivation, and I discovered this in talking with somebody who I've now come to call a friend today, I realized that my first motivation when I began to journey in this way of success, and by the way, when I talk about success, I'm not just talking about finance, I'm talking about the richness of the people I've connected with. I'm talking about the dream that I'm seeing materialize. I realized that part of my motivation was really fear. I was afraid of going back. I was afraid of staying there. And can I say something? Sometimes fear is a gift. Sometimes, for example, the reason why I don't jump off of a building is because I have a healthy respect, that kind of fear. Sometimes discomfort is a gift from God. Sometimes it's just removing the reason to stay where you are. Sometimes it's not there to depress you. You turn it into depression. Actually, what I believe it's there to do is it's there to inspire something on the inside of you, to inspire and awaken a dream. And so for me, it didn't begin with a dream, but I had to turn fear into a dream. I had to turn what I was most dreading into a dream, into a desire. And I call it, I actually call, if I was to go in the right order of self-made, I actually call the first key of self-made, I call it displeasure, the ability to be displeased for a season in your life. And if you endure, or if you kind of think you're just there to grit through displeasure, then all you're doing is tolerating a season. And some of us have these weird beliefs that, hey, Sarah, Sarah, whatever will be, will be. If it's meant to come into my life, it's meant to be there. Life just happens, Or we just think that we're sails without a motor, and we're waiting for the wind of circumstances and life and luck to drive us in the direction that we think the wind should blow. And I think we've got these weird ideologies, not knowing actually we're not automatons, we're not robots, we're not given over to fate, we're not creatures of our circumstances. A good friend and person in the business shared with me a statistic today, that because there's a belief about rich people that they all inherited their wealth, and it's a good statement came from Sterling Record, who you all know in the business, and he said actually 75% of multimillionaires were self-made. They determined it within themselves. That means they didn't inherit it. They weren't lucky. They have stories of living in their cars. They have stories of being homeless for entire periods of time, and using the displeasure, key one, to develop key two, a dream. Key two is a dream. Key one is I got to go through this. I'm in this displeasure moment. How long are you going to tolerate displeasure? You'll be shocked how many of us build our home in the place of displeasure. And yet, the dream says this. This is what the dream says. In the home of displeasure, so many people wait for opportunity. The dream says, I'm not waiting for an opportunity. The dreamer says, I'm going to become the opportunity. Do you understand what I'm saying? The displeasure says, hey, we're just going to wait for luck and chance. And I heard somebody say, rich people are really lucky. If they're lucky, they created their luck. If they're lucky, if truly rich people are lucky, it's created. It's not by accident. You can call it favorable, fortunate, lucky, whatever you want to call it. But fortune, favor, luck is really when preparation meets opportunity. It's when you spend time where nobody knew your name. I'm sure there were years when nobody knew the name of Jeff Bezos. Years he was in obscurity and in the background and in the distance. And then suddenly we all kind of know who he is. You need a displeasure moment in your life. But let me tell you, you need to not turn that Some of you are decorating your displeasure moments. You're just making it feel more comfortable. You're finding ways to add more padding to it. And yet the displeasure season is there to expel us from a season of life. The displeasure season is like when I was younger. I grew quite quick. I was one of the tallest in my year. But when I was younger, I would buy shoes. My parents would buy me shoes. After a while, I'd outgrow the shoes. And if you're anything like me, you wouldn't tell your parents because you like the shoes so much, you wouldn't tell them that you've outgrown it until your your toes were almost breaking and you were coming home with blisters on your feet. You just would not share that this is what you're experiencing. And yet, that displeasure was there to tell you that you've outgrown that place in life. I think we experience the same things emotionally. I think we experience the same things in life, that there are certain displeasures that surround us to tell us you're bigger than this now. You're greater on the inside. And the frustration and the depression exists between what we perceive to be our dream, and your dream really is reality, and the truth of what's facing you in your life right now. We perceive on the inside that we are wealthy and well-resourced. But when we look at our life, it's not there. I remember being on a train with somebody, and it was fascinating to see when I was on this train, the train suddenly stopped at a station. And it stopped for a very long time. And there was a woman on the train who got immensely frustrated with how hot it was and how long we were stuck on the train. And she yelled, "Will you just move?" Now, it would have been great if the train moved, but the train didn't move. But what I saw in that moment was somebody who innately knew that somehow they were coded to be able to command their life, to be everything it was meant to be. Otherwise, she wouldn't have even said anything. An animal wouldn't dare say, "Would you move?" if it could talk, because it knows it's not made to determine. But something about her on the inside knew that she wasn't meant to be the victim of circumstance, but that she was meant to speak something, do something, say something. And so your displeasure has got to turn into a dream. And the dream is your why. And your why, I discovered today, is an evolution. What got you through the first year, I found out what got me through the first year was the fear of not being there anymore. But that cannot get me to the next level. My why has to evolve. My why has to grow. My why has to become so much more than it is right now. And so my why has to move me to the next level. And so when I got to a place where I wasn't being moved anymore, I had to sit down again and realize what my why was. And I discovered a huge part of my why is I love helping people. I love seeing people successful. I enjoy seeing people who didn't need hand-me-downs all the time or pick-me-ups become something. And sometimes when I appear hard on people, it's a genuine love to see the greatest and the best and the gold that's on the inside of every individual. I remember the story of a statue that some government just wanted to get rid of. It was the ugliest statue. And in the story, it turns out, I think it was in a book called Vision by Miles Monroe. And in this book, it turns out finally some other country says, "We'll buy the statue, we'll take it for you." When they moved the statue, they realized that all that was around it was an ore, and it started breaking off. A piece of it broke off, and they realized actually underneath the statue was pure gold. And I realized something, that sometimes you don't know that you're gold until you move. Sometimes you look like everybody else until somebody comes along and moves you, until somebody sees the value in you. Your dream, your displeasure has got to turn into a dream. It's got to turn into a vision of something beyond where you are right now. This is how I found that men have navigated their course through life. They've dreamed of something bigger than where they are right now. They've deemed themselves fit for the venture, to go beyond, to dare to believe that they deserve more than where they are right now. And this leads me to the next stage. And it's the third D, your discussions. your discussions. Your discussions are extremely important. Your dream and your mouth have to align. And let me tell you what I started doing at the level that I was at. I started telling everybody about my dream. And some people say, be careful about telling people about your dream, because if you tell them, they'll kill it. And let me just say something. If you told somebody your dream and they had the ability to kill it, it wasn't big enough. It wasn't big enough. When you tell them your dream and they try and kill it, actually what it should do to you is just waken. What it did to me is it awoke a beast. It awoke a nature in me that says, listen, you just told me I couldn't, and I needed you to tell me I couldn't. Now watch me do this. It awoke something in me. Your discussions, your mouth is like a little steering wheel that controls the course of your life. So many people are talking themselves out of their dream. You've got to talk yourself into it. You've got to discuss your way into it. You've got to speak to everybody you meet about where you're going. You've got to be a communicator of the vision. So people, what it does is people commit not to the oak tree, but to the acorn. People commit to what you see on the inside when you discuss it. So many people are dying with their dreams inside them because they are too afraid to discuss. As you're discussing, you're not just talking to the world out there about your dream, you're talking to yourself. And you know, somebody said to me, be careful what you say to yourself because you're listening. How long would you be friends with somebody that spoke to you the way you talk to yourself? You've got to learn to discuss your dream. You've got to learn to speak about what it is that you're meant to be doing. As you're doing it, let me tell you what I realized I was doing. The more I discussed it, I was convincing myself. And I didn't need a person. Sometimes I could be by myself discussing my dream. And what I was doing is I was convincing myself that this is what I'm about to do. This thing is happening. If you ever see somebody who's about to jump out of a plane, sorry, that's my trading charts. If you ever see somebody who's about to jump out of a plane or some building somewhere, part of what they're doing is they are psyching themselves up for the jump. Sometimes you've got to discuss for the jump. You've got to speak your way into what it is that you're trying to do. And you've got to stop waiting for other people to approve it and tell you what your story ought to be. You're the one who determines the trajectory of your own life. Then I want to give you the next D that you need. The next D that you need is decisions. You need to make a decision. Now, this sounds easy, but making a decision is the difference between your dreams remaining immaterial and becoming material. Making a decision is where you're really going to find out who your friends are and who aren't your friends. A lot of people love you at the discussion level, and you've got to do something that mountaineers call rising above the snake line. Do you know a mountaineering term there's a mountaineering term called average. And average means halfway up the mountain. Some people, might be hurt by the term where I say, I've had maybe 3 or 4 people been hurt by the term where I said, I can't be those ordinary people. I can't die like those sad souls that want to remain ordinary. You weren't born to be ordinary. I don't know why you'd want to defend the right to be ordinary. You will not ever achieve happiness in life remaining ordinary. It will never happen. True happiness in life comes from releasing every ounce of potential that's on the inside of you. True depression only comes when you do not spend the time with yourself to discover what's on the inside of you. And you've got to make decisions. Now, let me tell you why most people don't make decisions. Because most people are stuck mentally in 2 places. Either mentally you are stuck in your past, and there's some people who are so stuck in their past, they're in a state that a lot of scientists call, or psychiatrists call, arrested development. Arrested development simply means that you could be physically the age of a 30-year-old, but emotionally traumatized at the state of 11 or 12 or 13. And so these people are easily triggered, even by the concept of somebody like me talking about you can do more, you can be greater than you are right now. They're stuck, they're imprisoned in a place in their past. People who deal with depression are often reflective, even emotionally, about the regrets of the past. And sometimes they don't even know what's making them sad anymore. It's become a habit. Then there are those who are stuck in the future. They are not depressed now. These people are anxious. What about tomorrow? What about if I don't have food to eat or anything to put on? And so they sacrifice today in a survival mentality when they could be thriving. They are so worried about what to eat and what to wear and what to put on and what to do and whether this will work out or that will work out, that some of them either get into survival or they get into analysis paralysis. That means they never move. They never make a decision. And a wise man once said that he looked for the richest place on the planet. He looked at the greatest banks in the world. He looked at the art galleries, the most amazing art that you could see in the world, the most expensive art, and he still wasn't satisfied. He looked at the most glorious skylines of real estate and still wasn't satisfied. He looked at the gold mines, the diamond mines, and still wasn't satisfied. Depressed from his search for the richest place on the planet, he sat on a bench outside of a graveyard, and then he heard a voice, and the voice said, "You are sitting now in the richest place on the planet, the grave. For here lays the greatest runners that never ran a race, the greatest authors that never wrote a book, the greatest business people that never started a business. The cure to cancer is laying in the grave. The greatest social justice shaker and mover, civil rights mover, is laying in the grave." Do you want to bury the richness that's on the inside of you in the grave? Or do you want to make sure that when you go to the grave, you go empty and your dreams don't die there as well? You've got to make a decision. We call it getting mad. Make a decision. And tomorrow, make the decision again. And the next day, make the decision on a new level. And the next day, make the same decision on a new level again. And that's when your decisions become habits. And now you can't break it because you have automated yourself for success. Because you've made decisions. Habits are decisions that make themselves for you. When you keep on making a decision, soon your decisions start to bypass the brain and they formulate like habits and reflex movements that are just naturally part of who you are. And another great author I read once said, "I don't need to be a psychic, a prophet, a soothsayer, or anything to know what kind of future you're going to have or whether you're going to be successful." He said, "The secret of your success is in your daily routine. I only need to spend a day with you to know if you're going to be successful." Do you know why most people don't make decisions? Again, they're thinking about tomorrow. And let me tell you, tomorrow has its own problems scheduled, ready. Some people don't make decisions because they've piled up homework from yesterday in not dealing with the problems that approach them in that day, in that moment. They're piling up the issues and now they're experiencing overwhelm and burnout. Let me tell you instead how to make a decision. Come to yourself today. Become aware of yourself in this moment. We call it self-made. That means there must be self-determination. That means there must be self-esteem. And so you've got self-esteem, I've often said, self-estimation. That means what is your value to the world. Yeah, we say all men are equal. All men are born in some equal way, but they determine their level and their relevance in life according to their contribution and what they serve the world with determines your importance. There's an entitlement in this world that thinks just because you are born, you are important. Or just because you are a color, a race, a gender, suddenly you matter. The only real way to matter and the only real way to determine everything that you're going to become is the decisions you make right now to determine yourself. And that means my job every day is to realize, first of all, no one is my competition. That's the sad thing about the education system. It's got us comparing ourselves to other kids. And we are, according to some national curriculum standard, I cannot compare myself to a national standard. I'm different. Your only competition is you yesterday. When you realize my only competition is me yesterday, then my job is to review myself every day and to determine I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. I'm going to think greater. Therefore, I'm going to do greater. I'm going to act greater than I did yesterday. I'm going to be kinder, more loving, more generous than I was yesterday. I am going to put in the effort. I find the time we live in now, people are not just morally bankrupt, but they're morally lazy. They know the good thing to do, but they don't want to do it because it's hard, it's difficult, and it's inconvenient. And this leads to the next D that I want to give you. You've got to be disciplined. When was the last time you heard a good message on being disciplined? And to be disciplined means that every single day you've got to make the decision to make the decisions you made yesterday at a new level. When you've discovered the winning habits that you need in your life today, then you've got to discipline yourself by them. You can tell how disciplined somebody is by how much of what they do that they don't want to do. You see, for successful people, they did the hard thing so their life can be easy. For unsuccessful people, they've done the easy thing. That's why their life is hard. When you determine that I'm going to do what's hard, what's difficult, I'm going to make tough decisions early in my life so I can enjoy my life later. That's discipline. Discipline is what a pregnant woman does while she's pregnant. Maybe she was a smoker before. She stops smoking. Maybe she ate the wrong foods before. She stops eating the wrong food. Why? Because she does not want to sacrifice her future for her present gratification. I look at our world today and how indisciplined we are. And part of our lack of discipline is a great verse in a famous book that says, where there is no vision, the people lose discipline. How do we get discipline? You must determine the focus. You must determine the focus. We rarely choose discipline. Our focus decides our discipline. This is why you see footballers who were extremely trim and together, and then they stop playing football and they look like hooligans. They look like beer drinking, bellied hooligans because they no longer have the focus that creates the discipline. What is the focus that you're going to determine to have that's going to create the discipline that is necessary to do what you need to do? I find today that if we're lacking anything, it's discipline. If we're lacking anything, it's the ability to do what we don't want to do. That's discipline. It's the ability to do what we don't want to do, but we need to do it if we're going to get to the next level of life. And it's called, the final stage I'll leave you with, is called delight. There is a place called delight. It does exist. And let me tell you what makes delight delightful. What makes it delightful is when you have worked so hard, when you've been so diligent, when you've been so about your work and so disciplined and so You know, one thing I realize is I don't believe God gave us control over people, but he gave us control over things. If you can master a thing, you'll have influence with people. Tiger Woods mastered the golf club. Michael Jordan, the basketball. Michael Jackson, his dance and his movement. Beyonce, her vocals. Whether you like these people or not, they mastered something and they gained influence. You cannot control people, but if you master something, you gain influence. If you serve the world with what you've mastered, you gain influence. And this is when you get into the realm of delight. What is the realm of delight? Delight is when you are rich. Let me tell you what it means to be rich. It means, to me, to have more than you need. To be rich, to me, means that you have more than enough to give away. And this is why I like the story of Bill Gates, whether you have controversial beliefs about him wanting to kill the world, I don't know, or microchip all of us. The guy is spending the rest of his life eradicating diseases and figuring out how to get rid of his money and give it away. This is the place you want to be. If you're a good person, money magnifies who you already are. And if you're a good person, then money, if it draws to you, imagine the transformation that's going to take place in the world if money got into the hands of good people. This is where you've got to, you enter the place of delight. In place of delight, you are now a blessing. You're generous to people. You're canceling debts. You're gifting. You're building orphanages and hospitals and schools. You're influencing the world, because money is a great servant, but it's not a great master. Now, if this meant nothing to you, you're still in some ways maybe an employee. But if this meant something to you, sitting on the inside of you is a self-made, determining, decision-making, disciplined person who was created for a world of delight. And what is delight? Delight, guys, is when the fruit shows up and other people can enjoy the sweetness of your success. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this CEO Club. We have various events coming up, and we want to let you know about what we do here at WMG. If you're interested, please send an email to admin@wealthmentorgold.com. That's admin@wealthmentorgold.com. Send that email to us. We'll add you to our mailing list and let you know when our next events are coming up to share what we do here at WMG. Follow me also on Instagram at Tobi Arayomi, at WMGTV, and let's connect. If you're a CEO, a serial winner, subscribe to this channel. Whether you're in WMG or not, we give this to you. This is my gift. It's my contribution, because I realize people can give you money and you spend it. But if they give you their mentality, you can always produce money over and over and over again, and success. Guys, God bless you, and catch up with you next week.